She is a witch. Her name is Yuko. She runs a wish-granting shop. It is said that she can help people fulfill any wish, but it comes with a price. One day, she received a cute little yokai. Its name is Kutagitsune. It is said to bring good luck to people, but Kutagitsune seems to be particularly interested in Yuko's employee, Kimihiro. It always likes to stay close to him. Then a female customer named Akane came into the shop. She came to ask Yuko to grant her a wish. Yuko asked her what she desired. Akane said that her little finger had been bothering her lately. Suddenly, black smoke began to emanate from her finger. Yuko immediately asked her if she had any bad habits. When Yuko asked her this, Akane seemed a bit guilty. She didn't answer her. Instead, she mentioned she had an important date. But after she said that, the black smoke grew even thicker. Yuko then took out a ring and told her to wear it. She reminded Akane not to take it off. After Akane left, Kimihiro immediately followed her, with Kutagitsune in tow. After tracking her for a while, Kimihiro discovered that Akane really was on a date. She had someone she liked, and they seemed to be in a very loving relationship. But when Akane asked her boyfriend to make a pinky promise, Kimihiro heard a nursery rhyme. At that moment, the black smoke around Akane grew even denser. The next day, Kimihiro was once again followed by Kutagitsune on his way to school. Dumiki told him that he once heard the temple priest say that Kutagitsune possessed tremendous spiritual power. On his way home, Kimihiro saw Akane again, but this time, she was on a date with another man. She looked like a completely different person. Akane said that ever since she started wearing the ring that Yuko gave her, the discomfort in her little finger had disappeared. After saying this, she took off the ring and put it aside. In Akane's bag, there were many phones. When one of the phones rang, Akane told the man that she would be going to the amusement park with her friend. The man seemed reluctant to let her go. Akane immediately wanted to assure him that she would be back soon. As they made their pinky promise, the nursery rhyme played again. It was at this moment that Kimihiro realized that Akane was skilled at using pinky promises to deceive the feelings of men. Every time she lied, the black smoke around her thickened. Now, Akane had returned to her gentle, ladylike image, and she went to the amusement park. She happily threw herself into the arms of another man, but the smell of smoke on Akane's body caught the man's attention. Akane quickly explained that someone was smoking while she was in the restroom. Then the man took her to a game device, one that tested love. If their love was true, they would be blessed, but if their love was false, the person who lied would have their hand chopped off. Looking at the game, Akane was very anxious, but the man insisted on playing the game. Reluctantly, Akane followed him inside. They both made a pinky promise. Above them was a fake guillotine. At that moment, Kimihiro noticed the thick black smoke on the guillotine, but once the smoke dissipated, the guillotine turned into a real one. It quickly descended toward them. In a moment of danger, Kutagitsune sprang out to prevent the accident, but just then, a dozen men surrounded them. These men turned out to all be Akane's boyfriends. They had all made pinky promises with Akane. Back at the shop, Yuko told Kimihiro that Akane had attracted dark energy by lying for so long. If Kutagitsune hadn't saved her in time, she would have already received the punishment she deserved. The next day, Kimihiro made a lot of delicious food. When he arrived at the wish-granting shop, Yuko couldn't wait to start eating. She kept praising Kimihiro's cooking skills. Then, Yuko suggested Kimihiro take some to the girl he liked. Upon hearing this, the image of Himawari immediately appeared in Kimihiro's mind. He quickly set off, but when he arrived, Himawari wasn't home. Kimihiro sat down on a swing, feeling disappointed. The carefully prepared food now seemed to have been wasted, but Dumiki took advantage of it. As Kimihiro complained, several blue light spots appeared around him, following the movement of the lights. Kimihiro discovered a girl. He thought she might be looking for Dumiki, so he decided to step aside, but the girl suddenly said she had left in a hurry, forgetting to bring a mid-autumn festival gift for an important person. However, she had now found an even better gift. With that, she directly thrust her hand into Dumiki's stomach, taking the cookies that Kimihiro had made. Looking at Dumiki, who had collapsed, the girl apologized. Then, stepping on the blue light, she disappeared into the sky. At that moment, Yuko suddenly appeared. She said the girl wasn't human. After checking, Yuko discovered that Dumiki's soul had been taken. She informed Kimihiro that the girl rarely appeared in the human world, Yuko agreed to help him find the girl, but the cost would be deducted from his salary. Yuko then summoned a giant eagle, saying only the eagle could catch up with the girl. If they didn't retrieve Demiki's soul today, he would fall into eternal slumber. So, they immediately set off. Soon, Kimihiro spotted the girl. She was still holding the cookie and feeling guilty. When she saw Kimihiro, she immediately turned and ran. At that moment, a group of strange beings appeared. They were the Tengu, guardians of the girl. Kimihiro tried to explain, but they immediately struck him down from the sky. Kimihiro thought this was the end for him, but at the critical moment, the girl saved him. She apologized, saying she only wanted the cookie. Kimihiro, confused, asked the girl if she wanted to give Demiki a gift. Why had she taken his soul? The girl quickly shook her head, saying the person she actually wanted to give a gift to was Kimihiro. Her words shocked Kimihiro. The girl had wanted to give Demiki's soul as a gift to him, but Kimihiro had never seen this girl before. At that moment, Amiana descended from the sky, telling the girl that this was not a festival for giving gifts. Hearing this, the girl blushed. Then, Amiana introduced the girl's true identity to Kimihiro. She was a Zashiki Rashi, a kind of deity, because she was quite shy. Zashiki Rashi rarely came to the human world. After that, Amiana prepared to leave with her. Before they left, Zashiki Rashi seemed to want to say something to Kimihiro, but she shyly couldn't bring herself to speak. Yuko explained that, due to Kimihiro's unique constitution, the cookies he made were eaten by Demiki, who possessed a body immune to evil, and the energy produced from it was the favorite kind of gift for Zashiki Rashi. Subsequently, Yuko used that cookie to revive Demiki. One day, Yuko took everyone to a seaside villa for a vacation. Kimihiro, being an excellent chef, was the first to arrive at the kitchen to check things out. The old faucet seemed to be welded shut, but strangely enough, there was a bottle of bright blue flowers beside it, and it still contained water. At that moment, Demiki turned on the faucet and sarcastically told Kimihiro that he was too weak. Kimihiro gazed at the beautiful sea, feeling very down. He couldn't swim in the sea with Himawari, because his special constitution could attract yokai from the water. After a big meal, Himawari suddenly invited Kimihiro to swim with her the next day. This made Kimihiro very excited, but then, Demiki appeared behind him, telling him that there were many yokai in the sea, and only Kimihiro could see them. So, Demiki planned to go swimming with Himawari instead of Kimihiro. Late at night, a voice suddenly appeared in everyone's minds. The voice claimed to be the owner of the house. It had been waiting for their arrival, and it had something it wanted to ask Yuko for help with. Kimihiro was startled awake by the voice. He felt the voice was coming from the room next door, but the room had already been sealed off. His curiosity led him to want to hear the voice more clearly, but as he approached, he accidentally broke through the wall. To his surprise, the wall was made of paper. There was actually a door in front of him. Kimihiro gathered his courage and walked inside. Inside, he found that the walls were covered with mysterious symbols. Just then, a figure suddenly appeared behind Kimihiro. He was so scared that he collapsed to the ground. At that moment, Yuko and the others arrived. It turned out that it was all just a prank they had played on him. Yuko told Kimihiro that Demiki's immunity to evil could help him if Kimihiro could ask Demiki for help without any deliberate intention, and if Demiki agreed, then their soul contract would be established. But they only had one day. During that day, Kimihiro would become a normal human, without being disturbed by the yokai. They had set up this prank to get Kimihiro to ask Demiki for help. However, when Kimihiro was in that room, he was too scared to say anything, so their plan had failed. As a result, Kimihiro still couldn't go swimming with everyone. One day, when Kimihiro returned to the shop, Yuko immediately sensed that something was wrong. Kimihiro felt embarrassed. He thought Yuko had discovered that he had taken Kudagitsun out again, but Yuko said that wasn't it. She told him to keep digging into his pocket. Kimihiro pulled out a feather from his pocket. Yuko asked where he had found the feather. Kimihiro explained that he had seen a girl with small wings, and the feather had fallen from her. Yuko set the feather on fire, turning it into ashes. She warned Kimihiro to be careful not to be used as bait. The next day, Kimihiro and Demiki were having lunch in the hallway. Demiki had also seen that girl with small wings. Just then, the girl happened to pass by. She told Kimihiro and Demiki that they were blocking the way. Her attitude was very forceful. As the girl left, Kimihiro noticed that her wings seemed to have grown a bit. Later that night, Kimihiro dragged Demiki and Himawari to the temple fair. As they were walking, they saw the girl again. Just because the man accidentally bumped into her, she immediately knocked him to the ground. Her classmates, fearing trouble, quickly pulled her away. At that moment, Kimihiro saw that her wings had grown much larger, so he and Demiki decided to follow her. When they met, the girl immediately showed hostility. They hadn't even exchanged many words before she launched an attack on Kimihiro. Demiki quickly grabbed her hand and forced the yokai that was possessing her out. However, Demiki couldn't see the yokai, so he had to ask Kimihiro to capture it. At that moment, the yokai decided to target Kimihiro's body, wanting to possess him. In a critical moment, Kudagitsun leaped out. The next moment, it transformed into a nine-tailed fox. At this point, Yuko also arrived. She explained the identity of the yokai to Kimihiro. This yokai was called Wings. It parasitized humans, constantly draining their consciousness, which led the possessed person to give in to uncontrollable evil thoughts. This type of yokai only targeted people with weak self-control. At that moment, the girl regained consciousness, but she seemed a little disoriented. It seemed like she needed to rest for a while to recover her health. After handling the situation, Kimihiro and Demiki went to a fast food restaurant to have burgers. While chatting, Kimihiro mentioned a girl he had seen recently. Her contact lens had been lost, but the girl didn't immediately search for it. Kimihiro wanted to help her look, but the girl directly said it was definitely lost and not worth looking for. Kimihiro found the situation strange, so he searched around and, sure enough, found nothing. At that moment, Demiki suddenly asked Kimihiro whether the girl he saw was human or yokai, because only Kimihiro could see yokai. Kimihiro felt troubled by this question, because sometimes, he couldn't really tell the difference between a yokai and a human. Just then, Kimihiro ran into that same girl again. To his surprise, she was working at the fast food restaurant, but the girl said they had mistaken her for someone else. The girl they knew must be her twin sister. The two of them were twins. However, this girl was very enthusiastic, and she claimed to have 4 movie tickets, inviting them to watch a movie together. So, Demiki and Kimihiro waited at the agreed-upon location. Soon, the twin sisters arrived. It was obvious that the one hiding behind her younger sister was the older one. The older sister didn't talk as much as the younger one. She gave off a sense of quietness and heaviness. Kimihiro even felt a pressure in his speech when he was around her. In the cinema, there were indeed many yokai accompanying Kimihiro to watch the movie. He had long grown accustomed to this kind of company, but strangely, these yokai, who usually surrounded him, kept their distance today. At that moment, the older sister closed her eyes. Then, she slowly spoke, saying, "Let's end this. I want to leave." Her voice had an almost magical power, which made Kimihiro feel very uncomfortable. When he looked at the older sister again, he found that she was injured. Demiki felt that something was wrong, so he pulled her out of the cinema. After resting for a while, she quickly recovered, but Kimihiro felt that something about this situation was very strange, so he went back to the shop to ask Yuko for advice. Yuko explained that the older sister, due to her long-term low self-esteem, disliked expressing herself. This self-imposed restriction on her speech had led to her words gaining a special power. However, if her personality could become more open and optimistic, this restriction would disappear. So, Yuko asked Kimihiro and Demiki to help her. Finally, with their help, the older sister became more optimistic and positive. They thought everything was over, but when Kimihiro saw the older sister again, she had returned to her extremely self-conscious state. Meanwhile, her younger sister kept talking non-stop. Facing her sister, who was holding a cup of coffee, the younger sister told her to walk steadily and not to spill coffee on the customers. The more the younger sister spoke, the more nervous the older sister became. The next moment, she accidentally spilled the coffee. She tried to wipe the coffee off Demiki, but her younger sister stopped her again. As expected, the older sister's newly regained confidence was shattered by her younger sister's words. At this point, she became more and more trapped, completely bound by her insecurities. Just then, Yuko appeared. She gently placed her finger on her lips. And, with that, the girl finally broke free from the restraint. She had completely changed. When they met again, The older sister had cut her hair short to show her gratitude. She gave Yuko a gift, and that gift was the price Yuko had asked for, her long hair.